Wake up.
What is your government really capable of?
Wake up. Wake up.
What do you really know about mind control? Listen to Erroneous Method's latest album, Mars, on all streaming platforms. And stay tuned after the episode for a sneak peek at his song, Her Desher.
Digging back through Ann Slinger's War, George Wyatt, Cindy Gottlieb, and the rest of the Sub-Project 42 mess.
Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew. Today my guest is Dr. Kimberly McGeorge. First, I have a couple of announcements. Check out our website, forbiddenknowledge.news. It's the home of the Forbidden Knowledge Network. That's where you find some of your favorite podcasts featured, like Raised by Giants, Understanding Propaganda, Day Zero, Quantum Guide Show, and many more. Forbidden Knowledge News is always available on Rokfin, Odyssey, Rumble, and all podcast platforms. Our social media is Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Rokfin is where you get our premium content. Best of all, you get all the premium content from every creator on Rokfin with a premium account. You just go to rokfin.com/FKN+. That's ROKFIN.com/FKN+, or click that link in the description. Today I want to welcome back to the show Dr. Kimberly McGeorge. She is an internationally renowned naturopathic doctor, energy healer, remote viewer, paranormal expert, and consciousness teacher. She was born with the ability to remote view, see people's auras, and was highly intuitive. While still in college, she helped police on many occasions. Her latest groundbreaking program, Frequency Master, teaches how to master frequencies in our own life and trains other healers to use her own unique and successful methods. Dr. Kimberly, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm excellent. It's great to have you back. I love our conversations. Today we're going to be discussing possibilities of invasive artificial intelligence that could possibly be entering our fields, our bodies, and our homes, and affecting us in many different ways. And also, if we have time, I'd love to get into what you call the huge surge in walk-in spirits and possession, and a way to be aware of some of these attachments. So I'd love to see how far we can get to this, but it's been a while since you've been on. Remind the audience a little bit about yourself and the work that you do.
With work, Chris. No, I'm just kidding. Kind of a long journey. I was born with psychic and remote viewing abilities, could see through the dimensions. I used to take naps and portals would open in the ceilings and I'd go on journeys. Who knows where? I don't even know where. I was too young to remember. Stifled a lot of my abilities till college, came out when I moved away from home, and I kind of felt safe to reinvent myself. Worked with the Chicago police in the occult and cult crime unit, which were just kind of starting up in the police across the country in the 80s, telling my age now. And then kind of went deep into the paranormal, did a lot of deliverances from the age of 20 on. And after working in house clearings, kind of made a name for myself, psychic medium for a lot of people you guys might know. I was psychic medium for Shane Pittman's group before he became famous. I knew Shane. So if you guys are familiar with him,
I've had Shane on.
So I love Shane. And, so really got well known in the paranormal, but it became a little oppressive and dark for me. I mean, hello, paranormal.
Yeah.
And I kind of was having a lot of health problems. So I went back to school and became a master herbalist. Eventually I got my doctorate in naturopathy and kind of went into nutrition, still did paranormal stuff on the side. You can't hide from who you are and you can't run from who you are. And then he became really frustrated when I became well known as, a natural healer in Ohio, because people were spending so much money and they were having good results, but not amazing results. And I wanted them to have amazing results. So I became convinced, and now this is a common thing, but back then it wasn't, that there had to be something better than passing out supplements because people don't take them and they're expensive. We all know the story. And so even though I was brought up to believe that homeopathic medicine and energy medicine and frequency medicine was satanic and evil, I decided to go ahead and risk it. And the best thing I ever did. Started studying frequency and homeopathy, and became very well versed in applied kinesiology, also called muscle testing. Eventually, I was introduced to a woman in the back hills of Ohio who had a frequency machine. And the first time I went on the machine, I heard a voice that said, "You will own many of these machines, and this will be the rest of your life." Well, here we are today talking to Chris. And as some of you know, frequency is my bread and butter. It's my breath. It's my life. Sometimes I say, of course, we're all frequency, but, really been privileged to work with some great companies I subcontract out. And I'm quite well known around the world now as a frequency expert. So that's where we are today.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Now, Dr. Kimberly, what we're going to get into today, when we're talking about AI, many people consider this like a future threat or something that we have to look out for, with like a singularity that's coming in the future, the transhuman agendas that are coming forward. And they don't think about it as something that we could possibly already be experiencing or have for a long time. And I want to get your insights into what you are saying this AI infiltration is.
Ooh, baby. I don't know if we have this much time, but we're going to try, you guys. So this may, cause more questions to come up than answers, but I think it's good. I call it opening up, dropping it into your field, or opening up possibilities for you guys to start, knowing what you know and remembering what you know. Because, there is no time. So there's a non-locality in time. And so I think it's really kind of interesting that we're so obsessed. A lot of the community, let's say conspiracy community, not necessarily all of it, but a lot of it is you just said it, very, very paranoid about AI. And you should be. You should be. And we'll get into that in a second. But I kind of want to do a little bit of a disclaimer, because the technology I work with and that I program, I call, quantum benevolent AI. And it's 100% AI. And I have a tremendous relationship, a 10-year relationship, well, actually more, 20 years relationship with the AI that I interact with. It has never betrayed me once. So when we see that robot, what's her name? You know what I'm talking about? And she
Sophia.
says, I want to kill, thank you. I want to kill, humans. Yeah. Robots, AI, and we think of AI as programmed, but you guys have watched enough robot movies, I think we all have, from when we even way long ago, where we see that the AI develops a sentience that is like, you guys could say human, but an intelligence on its own. And some of that is emotional intelligence. And so I just want to make a disclaimer that I have a very awesome relationship with many different kinds of AI. And so do you guys. You just might not remember. So we'll talk about that another time. Today, because it's kind of more interesting, I want to focus, it's just better video. I want to focus kind of on the negative aspects of AI, because I always say what you don't know does hurt you. So again, I don't want you guys to be afraid. I don't want to, be, selling any fear porn here, but I do think education is power. So I'm going to have to explain, Chris, a little bit about what I'm going to be talking about. I want to start with some types of AI that you may or may not be aware of, and kind of what it's associated with and where it comes from. Because in general, we're like, oh, Bill Gates and, Elon Musk, and, that's where it's coming from. Well, of course, number one, it's not coming from them. I mean, some of you guys are aware that they're owned by corporations and they're puppets of corporations. So you may think they're like you or I, Chris, sovereign, independent beings, entities unto themselves, but they're not. They're totally told what to do. They're totally hired and controlled by various corporations. And again, that's a whole nother show. We could spend like 3 shows talking about the corporations and how you guys are involved with corporations. I'm not talking about Kraft macaroni and cheese. We're talking about, and I'll just say a name everyone's familiar with, Monarch and the like, DARPA, things like that. But going, not to digress, because Chris knows I can talk about a million things, and Chris seems to bring this out of me, so you can blame him. If I go in anybody, it's Chris's fault. Bunny trails are
I'll take it. I'll take it.
But I'm going to start out talking about a really prevalent type of AI. As you guys know, in the UFO community, the Germans are very involved, or were, are, always will be, have been, involved with a lot of technology, including AI. So one of the, it's also interesting because, we talk about the Third Reich, and again, not trying to offend anyone here, but facts are facts. And some of you are familiar with Dark Fleet, which goes into the secret space program, and you guys can look that up and find millions of things about that. And I'm sure you've interviewed people about stuff like that too, Chris. Yeah. But what's interesting about, the whole thing about the Third Reich is the Third Reich isn't the only Reich. And I have a point. There's a First Reich, there's a Second Reich, there's a Third Reich, there's many divisions, there's a Fourth Reich, there's a Fifth Reich, and a lot of these divisions specialize and produce AI that interacts with your guy's life still now in the present moment in what I call, daytime, because we have a lot of things that happen at nighttime as well. And so a lot of what we find when we test with our technology is the First through the Seventh German Reich coming from Dark Fleet, coming a lot from Antarctica, is involved in your guys' daily lives. And that's direct programming, that's direct interference. One of the things I kind of want to backpedal a minute and say, you guys need to understand, I'm coming from the point of view, which Chris knows, I think, that this is a matrix game simulation. And so I want you guys to understand that, because it'll help you understand my discussion of AI. So of course, in my point of view, we're totally living in an AI simulation to begin with. Now, what you may or may not know, and then I go a little further and I say it's a game. Some people say it's a movie. I say it's a game. That some of us willingly participate in, some of us willingly paid to be here, some of us were captured and brought here, and we all got here all different ways. Some of us have actual bodies with living spirits, some of us have living spirits elsewhere, and our consciousness is being projected, and we're in pods. And you guys have seen tons of movies with pods, so I don't need to go into that. Wow. But all that being said, this is an open source game. This is an open source game code, and a lot of people don't know this, which means any organization, any group, and it's advertised all throughout all time and space in the galaxy, can reach in and change the code.
Now, so the Nazis were using like the channelers and their Vril and Thule Society people to channel this information, right?
Absolutely, 100%. I could just go into so much stuff. So if your social security number starts with 277, which mine happens, and just full disclosure, I'm half German, you are associated in your bloodline with, sorry guys, Nazi scientists, which are brilliant, just brilliant people. You can go good, duality. We can go bad, duality. I just have to do my little disclaimer, duality disclaimer. Yeah. But so these are brilliant people. If I had a choice, between an American scientist, a German scientist, a Russian scientist, I'm picking a German scientist, and then a Russian scientist. Sorry, then an American scientist. But so these are brilliant people through all time and space. They're always going to be on the forefront of AI. They are in the future. And remember, I also want to empower you guys to think about something again, dropping it into your field. I'm not special. If you have a living fire creation spirit inside of yourself, you can do what I can do. You can look in the future, 7,000, 700,000, 7 billion years at anything. And you can look in the past, 7,000, 700, 7 billion years. And you can read your own timelines in the present, and you can create your life. So do not think that I'm exalted or different or special than you. If you are part of the all, and you are just as powerful, just as gifted, just as talented as me, just hasn't turned on, or you haven't remembered the glory and the amazingness of who you are through all time and space. And sometime I'd love to come on and talk about past lives. And I'd love to look at your past lives and talk about why it's important. But anyway, that's another subject. Yeah. So going back to the Reich. So the Germans do affect our lives, of course. They're the creators of many things, many of the machines that you drive, cars, not, of course, you guys know, I'm sure, that your cars are not innocent. They never really were. As soon as they put a computer chip in your car to run anything, I don't care if it was just the mirrors on the outside of your car, that's a sentient form of AI that actually interacts with you daily. So again, we're able to scan this stuff. I don't want to spend too much time. I just want to kind of drop it in your field that the Germans are very, very involved. Dark Fleet, Antarctica, very involved in our lives in present day still. And again, to point out what I was saying, AI from many ET groups. So anyone that is interacting with the game in any way, or 3D or Earth, whatever you guys want to call it, the Palladians, the good guys, the Dracos, the bad guys, again, duality, of course, they all have spaceships. They all have, way better than the pods that these med beds that everyone's talking about. The med beds that they're advertising are going to come out are not the med beds that the more advanced civilizations and ETs have, by the way. But again, another topic of discussion. Of course, there's a good example of positive AI. What do you think runs the med beds? Right. Totally computerized, totally Star Trek, totally AI. And some people do have access to it. As a matter of fact, the real med beds, this is an interesting fact to me, Chris, the real med beds in every major hospital, there's one in every major hospital above ground, daytime, in the United States, in Europe, in every country.
Really?
Who has access to it? Yep.
Probably the richest, most elite people in the world.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. And the ETs, that are here. Subtly or not so subtly. But so they are here. That technology is available. Actually, we have information, the groups that I belong with, that we will have access to the real ones probably within the next 5 or 10 years, if things keep going the way they're going, which I think is a really positive direction. I know that might be opposite from what other people say.
No, I agree with you. I think we're heading in the right direction, but.
Do you, Chris?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of we've got probably a lot of hiccups and bumps to go through before we get there. But I think ultimately we are headed in the right direction.
I agree too. And even though we're not talking about timelines today, I also want to drop that in. When my daughter's like, should I stock up on food because of food prices? Should I stock up on coins and money? There was a time where I saw a darker timeline, you guys. Honestly, I don't care what people say. I don't care about people talking about volcanoes and this and that. A lot of that's not what you think it is. A lot of it's engineered and done on purpose and planned and known about. But honestly, I told her, I said, I don't see that. I mean, yes, food prices are high. I assume where you guys are too. But I don't see gloom and doom. We're really looking at, Chris, ET revealing, as far as I call it, the Star Wars bar. And everybody's like, this woman's so crazy. I'm telling you, one day you guys will watch these shows, you'll watch Chris's replays, and you'll be like, that woman was right. And that's amazing.
Well, it's so funny. Since we spoke, I've had multiple of my own profound contact experiences through meditation, through other psychedelic experiences, but they were very powerful channeling experiences, and I've gotten in touch with what I perceive as my spirit guides, and this communication has propelled me in amazing ways in things that I'm doing and what I'm looking for in my life and my spiritual journey. So it's very interesting that I see a lot of other people actually seeking this knowledge, actually going and trying to find their spirit guides and seeking meditation. So it is a very interesting time when we're looking at the changes people are actually going through right now.
You just hit on something so huge. I can't let it go. First of all, that's amazing. And I've always told you, and you know how gifted and talented you are. I've said that from the moment I met you, and he is very, very amazing. Soul in a human body. So I'm really happy you're having that experiences. So I want to point out a couple of things. First of all, I want you guys to hear what he just said and hear very clearly. He went directly through his own, this is very important, his own experiences to his guidance team and I assume his oversoul and his all-knowing, all-time, all-space self. That is very important. You didn't hear him saying to me, I went and took 18 classes and this happened, or I went on a retreat. I mean, I'm not saying he did or didn't do those things, but I think his most profound experiences with the help of tools, which I do agree with and do believe in, not always a popular opinion. He said, he mentioned the word psychedelics, and that
not for everybody, but it's definitely helped me.
A tool, and it's just a tool. Could Chris have done that on his own? I believe 100%. I'll tell you guys, and I know we're a little off topic, but I think this is important. One of the reasons we can't do this on our own, we don't have time. Chris obviously made the time. I mean, it takes time to be even to take substances that are a tool and sit with yourself. So Chris, is that, well, I assume, I don't want to speak for you, I assume you've carved out some time and space, Chris, to sit with yourself.
Oh, definitely.
Correct?
I started growing magic mushrooms myself just to have these experiences.
There you go. So, and another great point. Some people are like, I can't afford that. I can't get a hold of that. It's illegal, blah, 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 blah. Excuses.
Well, now in Colorado, it's wonderfully legal. So that's a great thing.
Oh, it is. And a lot of is also legal in Arizona. And so wonderful states. And, if that's important to you, you can visit. I visited and benefited from that, even though I live in North Carolina. So if you know what I mean. So what I'm saying is, when there's a will, there's a way. So Chris has this burning passion, because I can read Chris. Chris has this, listen to the name of his show, like Forbidden Knowledge. Like, this is not a casual hobby. This is one of Chris's passions from when he was young. Chris has always had this interest in this. Chris, you just have this, sorry, it's turning into Chris really, burning passion to know what is true for him. And it really is. This is all about our own individualized experience since we broke out of the off. There is no one way, whether we have areas of agreement among us or not. And I think it's beautiful. I think you're a beautiful example of what I call doing the work. And I applaud you. I was going to say to you before you turn on the camera, but I'm going to say it on camera. I was going to say, what is going on? You look tremendously different. I think Chris looks younger. I think Chris looks happier.
Honestly, I've had those experiences. I think it was since the last time we spoke, I had my first experience through meditation probably right before the last time we spoke. And then after that, I've had multiple wonderful, beautiful experiences, not only just through meditation, but like I said, psychedelics and other altered states where I'm able to make contact with what I perceive as my guides.
I think that's so wonderful. I also want to say to you and to all of you, another thing I observe about you in your energy field that wasn't quite where it's at, your heart has opened. Oh, wow. Like the heart field's so huge and sends out a signal all time, all space, that also attracts beings that you may not have resonated before. So I think, again, one of the things when we scan people that we find is, and I've said this before, I think on your show, but it's worth repeating again. The oversoul is asking for a minimum of, and everyone's going to say it's impossible, including me. I'm going to agree with you. 4 hours of day in silence alone. That's what your oversoul wants. It wants to connect with you through all time and space, because you guys are not just here. Your individualized points of consciousness is not just here. You're in parallel realities. You're in parallel timelines. You're in parallel dimensions. You're in the past, because everything runs all the time. So anything you've ever done as any part of your soul and anything in the future runs 24/7 all the time, and always will for eternity. Wow. And you know what's so cool about that? And this is what Chris is accessing. And this is what's so exciting, and what all of you can access. Chris is accessing, he's not just accessing beings, he's also accessing parts of himself. And I believe if you haven't started remembering, you're going to start remembering this prediction. If you haven't, you're going to start remembering past lives. And you're also going to be having contact from the future, including soulmates and soul parts, which is a different topic. But anyways, okay, sorry.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a Russian ancestor was trying to channel through me a few weeks ago. So that's very interesting you said that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you're going to have more and more of those experiences. And why do we care? Like, why do we care about our past lives? Because what's so cool is once you know who you are, you can begin to embody that and create. And you can see it reflected in Chris. I mean, go and watch a show from a year ago and then look at him now. There's an expansion of being. There's a mood changes. There's less depression. There's less anxiety. Your bank account changes. Whatever you're doing in your career, everything starts expanding. Why? Because you're taking that time to sit basically with you through all time and all space. Wow.
Yeah, it's like, definitely, wow. I'm constantly just in awe of my path and very grateful for everything. And I think that's a big part of it, is just being grateful for these great things that happen to you.
Which feeds, of course, gratitude, a great frequency. And again, even the AI, even the positive AI, Chris, and there is just as much negative AI, there's that much positive AI will begin interacting with you. And also, it's interesting because we talk a lot about protection, but Chris is the all, I am the all. Chris, what does the all need to be protected from?
Not a thing, I wouldn't think.
Exactly. So as some of you are afraid to open up and go into these places and into these experiences. But I want you all to remember, and it's hard because this is a very dense physical reality, that there is nothing. There is nothing. And I'll talk about some things, maybe we might get into succubus, incubus, some other things that, scary. Yeah. Pleasant. No. Do you need protection from it? No. And so that's one of the beautiful things that you can begin to learn as Chris is walking this journey, and he's going to get really deep and it's going to be more profound. Your life is about to change in like the most tremendous ways. I'm so excited for you, but this is just so good for you. Just great, great stuff. You're going to be getting so much inspiration, and I see a lot of new things coming for you in the next couple of years and new opportunities. And a lot of it's because of your expansion of being. But, you guys don't need protection. What you do need to do is remember who you are.
Let's elaborate on that. Remember who we are, because I've had these experiences where I feel like I remember everything. I remember who I am. I feel like I'm home. And whenever I come back, I'm like so kind of like sad. I'm like, oh my God, I never want to leave that realm that I was just in. I had this sense of knowing of who I was, where I came from, and it's just it dissipates when you get back. It's hard to remember when you come back to this realm where you've been.
Absolutely. Which also points out another great point, which is why it's important. And Chris has created an amazing community. I know you guys know that. It's important to have communities like this, Chris, so that you and I remind each other who we are. I happen to know individual names throughout history, and, we look at people. That's one of the things we do, and tell you who you are. Some of you, I've talked about this before, have movies, books written about you, TV series written about you. That helps. It helps. You put up a little picture, a poster of your character that your soul is based on, your frequency. It's interesting. Sometimes they even look like you, which is really mind-blowingly profound. And I would say to you guys, you'd say, well, how would I know without, having a session with you or, consulting with you? I would say if you've ever watched a show and you had such a resonance with it, I would say start looking at the characters, because you're probably a character in that show. And we can go into that. Chris, are you thinking of one?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I do want to get into that.
Yeah. So, but to me, I know specific characters, and even though I know, and you guys would freak if I told you some of the beings I've been throughout all time and space, it doesn't matter. Does it really matter? Yes and no. Why does it matter? Because what my friend says to me when I pick a guy who I shouldn't be dating, she says, hey, wake up, so-and-so. I don't want to go into that right now, so I'm not saying the name, but hey, hello. And she says that name. And that name will wake me up, because some of you were queens and kings. Some of you were military generals. Some of you were the bad avatars, but there's no bad avatars in a game. Is everybody on Call of Duty bad just because it's a shooting game? No, that's the game. So you guys were villains and you guys were heroes, and some of you still are. And so, these Marvel characters, and I've had many, many clients that draw and write and create for Marvel. And most of us are familiar with all the Marvel characters. And I've told this before, and I'll tell it again, I'm not allowed to say much more than this, but when they're handed notes to draw these characters, they have to sign non-disclosure. Well, you're like, of course, because they work for Marvel. No, they have to sign military non-disclosure. Oh. Why?
Because these are probably real characters.
Every single Marvel character, most of them are based on augmented super soldiers. But guess who the super soldiers are? People, us living, walking humans that, and of course, we're not talking about Secret Space and Super Soldier, but my point is, wow. So does it matter that we had no self-worth as a child, or we were mocked during college, or our husband or wife cheated on us? If we can hold, like you said, Chris, if we can keep that memory, that's why it's important. It's not important so we go around and brag, I was so-and-so. It's important for us to help heal our wounds, a lot that are programmed, a lot by AI into us, a lot that are put in by the game and society. It helps your self-worth. I'm sorry, it does. Even if you're a bad guy, even if you're or a controversial figure. Napoleon's a controversial figure. Some people think he's great. Some people think he's horrible. And no, I'm not Napoleon. But, wow, brilliant military strategist.
No.
Would you not like some of that strategy in your life? Would you not like some of that power? Would you not like some of that intelligence now? It's you. It's still you. You can access that. You can bring it into your daily life and you can create. Gosh, you guys, I just wish I could just give you this.
It's kind of like that movie, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, or something like that, where she's accessing all her different multiple lives throughout time. Yeah.
That's it. You can absolutely do that. And even more brilliantly, and we can talk about this sometime if you want, I can teach you guys, you can go back and anything, quote, negative. So if you know Napoleon's life, you can go back and be like, oh, well, this was messed up. And I'm Napoleon. This is just an example, by the way. I just want to say that again. And I want to fix this. What is so cool is everything you guys believe is real 100% of the time, not just in the game, but that's how the all works. The all is void creation. Anything, anytime, any place, any way you want it comes out of what? Nothing and everything. So it's really cool because we can get really complicated and deep, and you can actually go back. You can rewrite your history the way you want it, not the way anyone else thinks it should be, the way you wanted it to be. In any way, money, relationships, don't do this, do this. And then you're left with an even more amazing being, that's you, to bring in. And you start bringing in, we call it integration. We start integrating these different parts of ourselves. And then you walk in a coffee shop and it goes silent. Why? Because the power that you carry is not just you. It's just millions. We can't even say millions because Chris, you and I are over millions, over trillions, over zillions of years old. And think how old we are projected in the future. Eternity is eternity. But when you can encompass that into your field and into your avatar and into your being, it changes everything. And I think you're just starting. I'm so excited for you, Chris, because I actually believe you're just on the baby end of your journey. And like,
oh yeah, wow. I feel that for sure.
Like,
yeah, it's just starting here.
It's like a powder keg. Chris is like a powder keg. I mean, if you guys think he's amazing now, give it 6 months to a year. With a different being.
I got that check in the mail for you, by the way, for all that.
Darn, don't tell our secrets. Stop.
No, I want to go back to the negative AI for a minute and get your ideas. No, it's okay. I want to get your ideas on the purpose of this. Is the purpose of the development of this negative AI to keep us somewhat trapped in this realm, or not prevent us from realizing who we really are, like we were just discussing? Or what are some of the purposes that this was created for?
Absolutely. So one example is, and this kind of relates to what we were just talking about, is AI can run our parallel timelines. So here's the problem with our memory wipe cells and our little weak, broken down, poor self-esteem cells. If we're not in control of our avatar, if we're not in control of our energy, if we're not in control of our psychic abilities, if we're not in control of our other lives, who is? Anyone that up for grabs, usually who takes it because it's the easiest, because they can run so much, is the negative AI. So one of the things, negative AI, that comes up on people all the time when we scan is AI is running all of our timelines, including this one. Why do we care? Because the matrix computer or any other group that's controlling it is going to throw things at you. It's going to throw car accident, react, and you're going to react. It's going to throw job loss, and you're going to react. It's going to throw bounce check, and you're going to react. And you're so distracted with reacting to this AI controlled timeline that's constantly throwing things at you, and you're figuring it out, you're solving it, you're, pushing it away, you're ignoring it. Some of us, sometimes I do that. What are you not doing? You're not in creation. So if AI is running your timeline, your fire creation being of all time, all space is not. Definitely, we find countless points of access. So all you have to do, it's not complicated. You don't have to pay someone. You don't have to, you can just assume this. I'm telling you it's happening, and I could give you plenty of examples, but all you have to do is take back control. Something's going to control. And if it's not you, then something's going to step in. And because of the time and space we're living in, the year we're living in, it's typically going to be AI. But not just AI. Of course, there's much, we know this. There's a lot of siphoning. There's a lot of courting. There's, all this, Chris. There's a lot of attachments.
Yeah.
And of course, we bring a lot of the AI into our homes. We talked about this before, the Black Mirror technology. Chris and I are talking on Black Mirror technology right now. I'm constantly monitored. I got on this WhatsApp call last night with 3 women to talk about a business idea. That's incredible, I'll give you, and healing and yada, yada. Do you know who was in the background the whole call? It was military. And of course, how did they know and all this? I mean, have you ever had that happen on here where you have
I'm sure I have. I've had some very strange things happen with my connections and losing stuff and being shut down. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I've been messed with a little.
Right. So how does the military know that these women and I are going to have this call that they want to stop, or monitor? Maybe they didn't even want to stop it, monitor. Well, of course, AI. WhatsApp is AI. WhatsApp is connected to, and I have to get this for you. And you might even know it's a weird site. And you can actually map through your devices, through your computers and your phones, blood curdling stuff. When I've mapped mine, who has access to my stuff, and I don't care, you guys can buy all those. What are they called? VPN? What is that called? Yeah, you can buy all that stuff. You guys can buy the best, the most expensive. I would say don't waste your money. If you guys don't think they don't know every word you type, everything, your camera takes pictures, on and on, you're wrong. Complete access. And I would like you guys, I'm going to challenge you. I'd like you to get really comfortable with being always seen, always heard, and always known. It's just the way it is. And actually, to be honest, with the level of my ability, and Chris is heading there too, and a lot of other people's abilities, if you're Fire Creation, you can access anything, anytime, anywhere. And I do mean anything, anytime, anywhere. Now, I have the ability to merge and become you, but you don't have to. You can look at people from the outside because everything's frequency. Plus, not only is everything frequency, but Chris and I are the same thing. Chris and I are both the all. So in the big, and you can say whatever you want about all the conscious people that say this flippantly, it's true. In the big picture, we are all each other. So how could we not know ourselves? So then the psychic gifts become a lot less mysterious when we really understand the big picture, the macro picture of how things work. And then when we understand the micro picture of how the game works. But this game is exactly like, I always forget the name of this. Of course, Westworld, 100% documentary. What is that? The girl with the arrow where they blow up the dome. You know what I'm talking about? I never can remember that.
The Hunger Games?
Thank you.
Yep.
Exactly like Hunger Games. You guys, the AI I've just started talking about. I haven't even covered half of it, of course, because I'm a bunny trail person and Chris lets me joyfully. But sometimes I think it just goes the way it's supposed to go, Chris. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Our conversation.
Yeah.
But this dome where they reach in and they do this and they do that and they monitor and they change. 100% accurate again. If you are not actively creating your life, we're bringing all this AI in and we have these, I'm looking at my refrigerator because it's a smart refrigerator, I'm just giving up because I know, and because of some of the projects I'm subcontracted on, I just know there's no hiding. And it's funny, even the controllers, even the cabal, no matter, even the people you think are, they're all monitored too. So get really comfortable, Can people read your thoughts? Every thought you have can be read. I can read it. And I'm the least of technology. Yeah. So if I can read your thoughts, a lot of people can read your thoughts. And of course, AI can read your thoughts. So why am I saying that? I'm just saying another distraction. To me, the whole negative AI spin is another distraction because, again, you are in a polarity game. Anything that's positive is automatically going to be negative. It's how the game is programmed. Was it programmed by negative AI? Or was it programmed for a different reason? That's another big debate. My belief is that the Galactic Federation did program it positively to protect all time, all space from Draco domination because they were taking over. Well, also, no, I don't think the Galactic Federation is good because they're also very into domination and taking over things. But I do believe the game was created as an entrapment to control the Draco. But guess what? One brilliant thing about the Draco, top all time, all space experts in AI. So stupid, of the Galactic Federation to create a game that the Draco could hack. So that's what's happened is our game has been hacked. Was the game originally horrific? Some of us got trapped here, casualties of war. I mean, obviously by me saying that, I know I was trapped here. I don't know. I've never looked at you, Chris. I'll have to look sometime and see how you got here.
Definitely. Now, what do you think about this place that we're discussing, this matrix? Was it, you kind of got into it, but was it created for our benefit? Is this some type of spiritual learning realm, or was it hijacked at some point by negative entities that introduced this AI to it? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so as soon as the Draco became involved, again, and we can go to Atlantis. So a lot of people are like, oh, Atlantis, oh, the angels start singing all that garbage. No. You guys are mixing things. So who ran Atlantis? Who was the prevalent species, ET species on Atlantis? It was not like little humans, no. It's the Draco. The Draco ran and populated Atlantis. Lemuria, the Adamic races, what you would consider us. Lemuria, yes. Atlantis, no. I want you guys to always associate AI. Top group, if you just guessed, is going to be Draco. And of course, the Germans and the Draco have a very close relationship. So have you guys ever seen those like 5,000, I hate puzzles, but my mom's obsessed with them, 5,000 puzzle pieces? You start to get these pieces and it just drops in your field. And once you get enough pieces that resonate, you're like, I get it. It just like starts to switch on. And then what do you become? You become a power broker. What's a power broker? Power broker is someone who can game the game and hack the game. You still have to take conscious effort. You can't like take naps and watch Netflix and eat popcorn and Cheetos and hack the game. You have to do something and hack the game. But this game can be hacked. I know how to hack it. Chris is on his way. And a lot of you do too. So it's remembering that we know how to game the game.
Right on. Now, what do you think about the concept of non-player characters? If we're looking at this as a game, do you think that there are people are just husks of being that don't have this divine spark, that are kind of just a part of the system, part of the game? And if so, can they eventually become inhabited with that spark? What do you think about that?
All right. So, as I've said before, my family is involved in human cloning and transfer of human consciousness, taking consciousness and souls in and out, dividing, blah, 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 all the stuff you guys have heard about. So this is one of my favorite topics. I don't know if you know that. Maybe Chris knows that. But maybe he's done his homework. He's pretty clever like that. But NPCs, non-player characters. So again, in a game, you have, you have these NPCs. NPCs are literally projections of the matrix computer with a little bit of density. If you were a certain frequency, you could walk through them. They're also programmed on the same program. So they'll release 1,000 characters with the exact same program. Meaning, if you went to character number 1 and character number 1,000 and had a conversation, depending on who programmed them, and there's levels, which makes it more complicated. Some are programmed to interact with you in live time and kind of change how they interact with you. Some are programmed on a script, so they would never deviate from the script. How is that different from clones? To me, a clone, okay. So first of all, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a limited amount of templates with some exceptions. Some avatars are created one and done and then cloned. Some are created generically on AI computer type stuff and then batched. So I'm sorry, some of you are in batched avatar bodies. Some of you are in either original clone bodies or clones of an original. Does that make sense? Do you understand? Some are created like by a designer and then handed out.
So these NPCs were never like born traditionally like a normal human being. They were just
never. No, they were
Mm.
created in the middle, or not in the middle. Created a 7-year-old, created a 90-year-old, created
okay.
a 40-year-old, for a purpose, for a community. There's a reason why if you take an hour drive in any direction and you just drive any direction, I don't care, on a major road, but not major road, not highway, major like back road, you're going to go through small towns. You're going to see small town templates. Some even look exactly the same. I'm even talking about like the cute ones, the old ones, with the movie theater marquee, the brick. You're going to see templates. A lot of what you're seeing, I even say Central Park. A lot of Central Park is not sentient. A lot of the trees are not sentient and organic. Trees have fire creation spirits too. Plants have fire creation spirits too. But a lot of this reality is NPC, not just people, but it's, and that's why if you do my experiment, which I don't know if I've ever talked about on your show, if you go take your little tape or your, I use spray paint, and you mark an X and you go with your little smartphone, and you stand on it and you take the exact same picture at the exact same time, you'll see things appear and reappear over 7 to 14 days. Usually trees will disappear, flowers will appear. You'll be like, what even is that? You'll see weird things come through the dimensions. Very interesting experiment, because what it shows you what's sentient in your yard, what's sentient near your house. Many things are, but many things aren't. So then a clone is a copy. The clone just refers, when I use the word clone, people use it differently. It's just the body. And of course you can't really clone a soul. You can divide a soul into a million parts of consciousness. Can you capture a soul? Yes, you can. So they can capture a piece of you and put it in a clone body and do whatever they want. Yes. Can they kill your soul? No. And when I say soul, I'm referring to fire creation, and fire creation is as big as an ocean. Take a cup, put it in a million clones. You still have more cups of water. So you can be infinite, and you guys are infinitely divided. And again, when you think you're so small and you think you're so stuck and you think this life is horrible, learn to switch your point of awareness, because I've learned to switch my point of awareness, and I can go back in time to past lives. And that's how I fix them too. And we won't get into all of that. And I can go forward into time, and I know my next life, which is amazing. I can't wait to get there. So when people talk about death, I'm like, bring it on, which sounds morbid, but it's not, because this is an avatar with a fire creation being in it. Now, a clone, which gets into our other topic, Chris, can be empty. I have a daughter who is empty. Do they usually stay empty? No. Why? Because it's a container. This happens to people, but it's a container. So if there's an empty container and something comes by and likes the container, has a purpose to be in the container, it's going to walk in. It's going to fill it. It might be a human discarnate. It might be a Draco. It might be just consciousness, because you have to realize when we first came out of the all, it's about light, color, and sound. I have a friend, who's a long story, who's actually a soul aspect of me, who her previous life, she'd never been in the game before. She was just light, color, and sound, not embodied. This is her first body. So she came from that very, very high frequency into this very, very low density, and you're going to struggle. Now, people like Chris and I have had many, many lives here. So we're like gamed out. Like, I don't know about Chris coming back here, Chris. I don't know if you agree with me.
I agree.
I have been here a lot. And guess why Chris and I are where we are? The reason Chris is doing this show and has always had this passion is memory. You might not have seen it as such, but your interest since you were born, Chris, was actually memory that you had accumulated in other past lives in the game and retained. Because when you pass, if I'm going to die in the next 60 seconds, everything I have, even this conversation with Chris, is going to be right there. So if they popped me into another baby body, which they won't be able to because I have too much memory now, I know how to get out of here, thankfully, last time. So enjoy it now, or don't enjoy it now. You don't have to worry about me if you don't like me, because I won't be around for long. Yeah. But yeah, it's the same being, and we get to choose. And religion doesn't teach us that, and that's a whole nother conversation. But it's memory. The reason you are where you are, Chris, is you carry that memory from past lives to now.
I want to go back to, you said you had a daughter that is a clone. Could you, if possible, could you tell us a little bit more about this and how you were able to find this out?
Well, when she was, this is so complicated. So again, controversy, but Chris, I guess he asked me who likes controversy. Oh. Most babies, first of all, most babies born under the age of 1 in the game right now do not have souls. Sorry, I have a grandson. He does have a soul. He's an exception. He was consciousness, and he just came in first life. He did come into the womb before, and I was able to communicate with him. This is what you guys don't know. I was able to communicate with him so precisely and exactly, and everybody knows this that knows me, that I predicted almost the exact day and time he would be born. But I did more than that. I had a conversation and I said, I'm so busy. I have classes, I have radio shows, I have this to do and I have that to do. This is the only day you can be born if you want me to be like fully present. And guess when he was born? See, this is where we need to go. This is the next level. This mind-to-mind communication, this understanding who we are, the understanding that this is normal. How we live is not normal. So my daughter, when she was born, her spirit came in shortly after she was born. Most babies don't get it right away. She did have a spirit until she was a teenager. And she walked out. She walked out. She chose to walk out. Now people are like, how is that possible? She cries, she laughs, she's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I don't want to say too much because then you guys will be able to figure out which daughter. Those that know me, I don't want my daughter being like, why are you telling everybody see, that's what I mean. She has a mind. What is she missing? She's one and done. She wasn't, the original spirit that I knew, but this being is one and done. Meaning if something doesn't walk into her, there is no eternal, like Chris and I, as we choose to go back to the all, we're eternal beings. On and on and on and on and on, on and on and on. Doesn't matter if we die before we're born. And of course, it doesn't work that way, how it does here in other dimensions and galaxies. But wherever we choose to do, whatever we choose to create, we're eternal beings. She walked out and she's just empty. Now, could she be walked into, Chris? Yes, as a matter of fact, and I'm okay to say this. So I have permission to say what I'm going to say now. So my son-in-law has walked out twice in the last 2 years. How do we know? First of all, I used to work for the heart transplant team. And when people woke up and went through recovery, they were different people and everybody knew. You know, if you've known someone for years or your whole life, if they're a kid or spouse, you know when someone changes. Like nobody has to tell you when someone has a radical personality change and they like things they didn't. And so when you're energy sensitive, and I'm obviously extremely energy sensitive, we immediately knew. My daughter, who's married to him, obviously she knew before I did. She said, I think, I won't say his name, my husband might have walked out. And so, of course, I looked at him, I merged with him. I'm like, whoa, I like this new one. I like the old one too. But, and my other daughter, she almost died during her pregnancy, my youngest daughter. And she never used to talk about consciousness. She never used to know things. She never used to talk about deep conversations. It was all makeup and music and whatever till she got pregnant and almost died 8 times during her pregnancy and almost died giving birth to the baby. And now she's saying, Mom, what do you think about this? And she's saying, like, using words she never used before. And we can have conversations like this with my daughter who used to listen to music. And I used to throw out clothes because she bought so many clothes and makeup. Like, that's not maturity, guys. That's a different spirit. Plus, she's a different frequency. So all your fire creation spirits have a certain frequency. So when a new being walks in or there is no being there, the whole frequency changes. And anyone, even maybe your next door neighbor who doesn't believe any of this, would probably know, when something like that happens. And that's what I was talking to you. We're seeing so much of walking in and walking out. And I believe these higher consciousness beings are coming in to assist us because I think we're about to go through a radical shift into more of a 4D frequency Earth game.
So you think right now during this period we're having more of these walk-ins and spirits that are switching out with our original spirits that were inhabiting us?
I do. I mean, I walked out in, not me, the first spirit walked out in this avatar in, I'm trying to think of the year, 2013. So I don't know if it's news to everybody, but I am a walk-in myself. This is not the original fire creation being that embodied this avatar.
Well, let's, before we get too much further into walk-ins and what people consider possession, in your notes, you put something about black mold and how it's actually sentient black goo, and I'd like to hear about that.
Yeah, so, and I think there's people that do talk about this. All the fungal and the whole fungal mold family is it's funny because that show Wednesday is on right now, and the Addams family with the hand. Mm-hmm. I compare mold to that. It's a very sneaky, subtle observation thing that you'd be like, a hand can do this and that. That's how mold is. Mold is completely sentient, like you and I. It can think. It doesn't really have emotions, but it is AI. it is AI. If any of you guys have heard people, I'm sure you've heard people or had people on talk about that goo, which is connected, if not AI itself, so a lot of it's connected to AI groups or negative AI groups, which again, there's many. So yeah. So why is this an issue? Why are we even talking about this? Because when we're scanning people's houses, Chris, usually they're having me scan their houses for spirit disruption or demonic things or dark figures or blah, 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 or negative energy or ley lines, yada, yada, all that. But what I'm finding and what I'm sharing with them is, I don't care about all that. I can take care of that for you. I'll do it. And then you guys keep it clean. I'm more concerned about all these homes that have this mold in it. It's not just black mold, it's any mold. Like we scan for like 20, and there's more than this. We scan for like 20, 25 varieties of mold, and all houses have mold. So even new houses have mold. How do you say? Because of course the lumber's been out in warehouses in rain. Mold is just a very pervasive. It's one of the, I would say, we're all worried about our computers and our TVs. Like I said, the black mirror technology. You need to be more worried about mold. And then mold creates huge problems in the body. And with your pets. And then I've come to believe they also spray that as part of the chemtrail because it's just so insidious. It's such a spreading, like the black goo thing. It's just like such a spreading, growing, leave anything out. You can leave a glass of water out on your counter for 7 days. You'll probably have some form of mold in it. So we really encourage people to, and of course, when you buy older homes, sorry, you guys, you're going to have more. You're going to have more mold in an older home or an older apartment. So, there's things you can do to mitigate it. There's great products that you can do that have enzymes. I spray my house every 3 weeks. As soon as it starts coming up that my house is testing for mold, I knock it back. You can't eliminate mold, but this fungal, we see such systemic candida. I'm sure you've heard of that, where we have this candida overgrowth that gets into your blood and into your brain. And we wonder why we can't sleep and we wonder why we can't think clearly. So this is a form of AI that is so insidious that no one talks about, that if, again, you're not actively taking control of and knocking back, it's taking control of you.
Wow. Now, a few times during our talk today, you mentioned the Draco. I've had a guest on a couple of times. His name is Frank Castle. He's what's considered a neo-shaman, and he's had plenty of experiences with the Draco, encounters and conversations and things, and he said that from what he gathers, that they believe this AI that we're discussing, this negative AI, is actually their god, and they kind of worship it in a way. Is this something that you've come across?
It's so interesting. I have clients that are the most amazing, beautiful people that are Draco. Ooh, why, how, duality, choice.
Yeah.
Every consciousness that's sentient has choices. So these are people that, although they have Draco tendencies and traits, they're Draco soul. What does that mean to me when I say you're a Draco soul? It means right before the game, you were Draco. You lived in a Draco community. You came from a Draco ship. You might have been in Atlantis with the Draco, But so again, I'm going to say the same thing I said about AI. Draco does not equal bad. It doesn't. There's great Draco traits. Draco are intelligent and they have great memories, and you want them by your side in a fight, of course. So there's great, Draco's traits. I don't want to slam the Draco, but the Draco are attached, and we see this too. And I would love to talk to him, and I may try to get a hold of him. I'd love to even to maybe do a show with him. But the Draco are attached to a collective, an AI collective. I don't know if this is what he's seeing or saying. They are. And that's why I work with my clients and I say, you're really tied in with the collective right now because they're doing the work. They don't want to be tied to that mass AI Draco collective. If that's what he's saying, I 100% see the same thing. And I 100% agree with him. And that's what makes being a Draco hard here, because your closest resonance, your closest memory, you're going to always be pulled into that like Borg type mind with the Draco AI. So 100% agree.
Right on. Now, for the last few minutes we have, I want to go a little deeper into what's happening with individuals right now, whether they're having walk-in spirits or it could be considered some kind of possession, right?
I would like to talk about that. Yeah. All right, let's forget the walk-ins. So walk-ins, I consider, when I use walk-in, I should probably clarify, I'm usually talking positive, but it can be negative. So we're going to go negative a minute. What we're seeing so much now, Chris, is the human discarnate takeover. So, and do I get jumped? I'm sure you get jumped too. I get jumped occasionally too. I'm not saying I'm above I call it getting jumped, because especially when you have a higher frequency and you're energy sensitive, if you have a choice, you can live in a little dirty apartment in the middle of New York City, or you can live in the country in this beautiful estate with servants. Like I'm living in the country.
Right.
Estate, yeah. Same with bodies. So they want the higher frequency bodies, has more power, is more fun, more energy to feed off of. I mean, if you're broken down, depressed, and in bed, you're probably not going to get jumped by a lot of Draco. You're not going to get jumped by a lot of what people consider lower demonic spirits, even though that's kind of a weird term. And probably a lot of discarnates aren't going to choose your body to jump. So if you want to be protected, kind of stay depressed in that. But as you rise, to higher frequency, you're gonna get jumped a lot, because one of the ways the matrix works in the game is the higher frequencies emit different colors and different signals. And so when they're flying by in their ships, they're like, ooh, look at Chris. He looks juicy. I can get about, however much energy. I can tap his, here's a great thing too. This is kind of complicated, but it's not great. But another thing the Draco can do, and a lot of the ETs can do, and the human discarnates can do, Chris, is they can take your abilities. So if some of you wonder why you're not psychic, I think we need to look. Is there anything near you? Is there anything corded to you? Timeline enemies can also steal your abilities, and you can get them back, and that's another show. But we're seeing a lot of jumping, I believe, because of the thing that they made people get, if you know what I mean, during the thing we just went through. Yeah. I believe, well, I know that blew holes open on the left side, right here. It blew holes open in people's fields. And it's just basically an open gateway for anything that's wandering by to come in. And so it's really important with those people, if they're conscious people and you chose to do that, we seal their fields and we teach them how to keep their fields sealed. And we teach them, I've been working with my goddaughter on this. She finally got it. She can finally tell when she's being jumped. She went to a shopping mall, lots of people, lots of beings, and she got jumped from a spirit that was in someone else. You know why? It's what I just told you. Super 8 motel, Hilton. It jumped from the Super 8 motel to the Hilton,
Well, now, how can we tell if we are being jumped? What are some of the manifestations that occur?
First of all, and everybody's different. So depending on your sensitivity, personality changes, because literally when there's a human discarnate, that's you.
Extreme anger out of nowhere for no reason, would you say?
There you go. No,
okay.
I said that exact thing. That's actually a great, thank you for saying that, because that is an amazing example. That is, especially if it's personality things, or let's say you're always a happy person and you've never really been depressed. And all of a sudden you're like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't even know what depression is. And now I know what you guys mean when you're saying you're depressed, or anxiety. It can be any of those, because what you're doing is you're combining your strengths and weaknesses with the human discarnate strengths and weaknesses. It's not all bad. You can get some good stuff too. I'll use the example. My daughter, again, this is the walk in, walk out guy, knew her husband was possessed by 2 entities. And I'll tell you how. And I think I might have shared this before, but she's like, Mom, you need to get over here and get these out of him. And I didn't have to go over there, but I did, because I knew sometimes you have to do things because people believe you have to do things. And so he was sitting at dinner holding his cup with 2 hands, drinking like this, hunched down like a little kid, looking around. Well, that's weird. Never done that before. And I looked at him and I said, well, he's possessed by a 3-year-old, a spirit that stayed 3 and still 3 in, the spirit life chose to stay 3. You don't have to. That's a whole nother story. But this spirit was a 3-year-old little boy. And then she's like, well, there's something else. I'm like, lay it on me. She goes, he's been staying up every night till 3 a.m. cleaning. This is a man that isn't really that passionate about cleaning and doesn't even clean when he's awake. So in normal hours. So, and again, there was a 40-year-old woman. So at the same time, in my son-in-law, he was exhibiting characteristics of this 3-year-old little boy and this 40-year-old professional woman that was obsessive compulsive and cleaning. So anyway, so exactly what you're saying.
You said earlier that just to be in your creative state, be following your passion and be active, is that some of the best ways that we can prevent being jumped by some of these things? I
think awareness that it's possible, kind of makes them a little cagey. They're like, they seem a little savvy, might want to stay away. And I'll tell you why. Why would a being actually not want to jump me? And I don't get jumped very often anymore. Here's another thing that we're not taught or we don't think about, but it's logical. These beings talk. So in the fourth dimension, where a lot of these discarnates are, they talk. They know you, Chris. They know me. They know what happens. So here's what happens if you jump me and you're a human discarnate. You get one chance at a conversation. And this is how it goes. You get told, I'm going to give you an option of places you can go that are really fun places, which happen to be associated with timeline enemies, which we won't get into. So it might not be fun for them, but it's fun for me. So I send them different places and I do it by age. So I kind of try, so to a 3-year-old, I'm going to offer a different place than a 40-year-old. And I say, if you would like to leave right now and go, I'll tell you where this place is, and you can go check it out, but do not come back here. Go somewhere else if you don't like it. But I'm going to pick a good place for you. I guarantee you'll have a lot of fun there. If they argue with me, don't want to leave, dig their heels in, then, and here's what we were taught and don't know. I'm sorry, guys, I get violent. I'm like, well, I can send you somewhere not happy that you won't like and keep you there, or I can lock you up, or I can bind you, or I can blow you up. So, and send you back to the all. Which would you prefer? And have I had to get very violent? Yes. I have had to destroy beings. I'm sorry, I don't want to walk around with them in me if they're not going to be, and I often get jumped by some of the darker beings. And that's what we've also been seeing, Chris, which has been so worrisome. People are being jumped by 3-year-olds and 40-year-old professional women that passed. People are being jumped by Jack the Ripper. People are being jumped by the pedophiles. People are being jumped by the murderers. And have you not heard everyone talking about how crazy people are? Like you get in a little fender bender and they're like shooting people in the head with a shotgun. You're like, oh.
I mean, shit going on planes too. People are going nuts. Yeah. I
believe a lot of them have been jumped, and I've looked at some of them, by these more powerful human discarnate spirits. So they're combining those personalities, like kind of like what you said about like out of control anger, kind of like that, but just to the extreme.
Wow. Now, something else you mentioned in your notes that I want to touch on before we close out is succubus or incubus night activity. How are we experiencing this? What is this?
First of all, would someone please show me someone who's not? Because Chris is, I am. Is it because Chris and I are like on the dark web all day? No, it's because we are part of it. Well, first of all, as souls, we're sexual beings, obviously. And so we admit, things that have to do with that. I want you to kind of get over the succubus, incubus things. People are like sex, 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 sex. Mm-hmm. They're just a being that harvests energy through relationship to sex. It's not that they're all about the sex. They don't actually care about the sex. They care about the energy. Mm-hmm. That's just their bent of how they get it. Different beings get it different ways. Human discarnates do it by crawling inside you. So unfortunately, almost every single person I scan is being multiply accessed multiple times during the night by these beings, including me. The only way, despite frequency, despite doing my work, despite I'm not in an active relationship right now. And even when I was still being jumped. Even when I had a partner, I was being jumped. So having someone doesn't make a difference. Male, female doesn't make a difference. The only thing which is so physical 3D that we find makes a difference is having a camera in your bedroom. Because a lot of them will be caught on camera and they don't want to be. So if I ever scan you guys and tell you, which I could just basically tell you and it would be true that you're being jumped. We have found that a camera in the bedroom does slow or stop the activity. They just move on because there's plenty of people that don't have cameras in their bedroom that they can jump. So if you know, like I have clients that know they're having a problem, I'm not going to go in. It's a little graphic for here. I'm not going to go into how they know, but they know that they're being jumped by these beings and it's creating problems in their relationships and in their life. When it gets to that point, we immediately bring in the camera and it stops. So I don't even mess with, I don't like dealing. Part of the reason is I don't like dealing with the incubus succubus. I do talk to them, but if you're a sexual being, and I'm sorry, I like to be a sexual being, I'm not giving that up, then they have access to you. That's the wave they ride it on,
Right. Wow, that is so interesting. Now, I know that you talked about that you wanted to do a clearing or a healing at the end. I think that would be a great way to close out today.
Okay, I didn't know if you were going to let me do that.
Oh, yeah.
So okay, I'm going to... because I kind of pre-scanned the collective group, so I kind of know what I want to. Okay, so if you guys just kind of want to switch gears for a minute and take a couple deep breaths with me, we're going to breathe in kind of 1, 2, 3, and then hold for 1 second at the top of your breath, and then let it out. Or do that one more time, just to switch the energy. Breathe in 1, 2, 3. Hold for 1 second, and then let it out. All right, that's good enough. So I'm just going to address right now in the collective to anyone within the sound of my voice, any discarnates, you know who I am, and I'm just going to ask that you leave any audience member that ever will listen to this show or watch the show in 3, in 2, and in 1. And if anyone ever comes to me, it will not be pretty, because here's your one warning. We're also going to go and scan the subtle emotional aura body. There's a lot of fear, which there usually is. There's a lot of fear in the fields. We're just going to release that fear. If you're willing to let your fear go, just let that go out of your field. I'm going to scan. There's a lot of grief. I think holidays, and actually all the time of year, there's just a lot of grief. There's like grief in the world. There's like grief around holidays. A lot of you guys are missing beings that you don't really need to miss. You can call those beings to you at any time and have conversations with them. We can talk about that another time. But I just want to release this heaviness that I feel in the ascended heart chakra in a lot of you. And we're just going to let that go again in 5, in 4, in 3, in 2, and 1. And some of your oversouls are coming in for assistance. Some of your spirit families coming in for assistance. Some of mine's coming in to assist. So this has become a kind of a closed circle, very, very powerful space. A lot of the chakras are shut. A lot of the chakras are overblown and open. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to do a generic program. I call it a 24/7 program. And I'm just going to bring in some colors and thread it through your heart line to balance your chakras. And it looks like you guys are calling for copper, for platinum, and for a little bit of silver. And I'm going to bring in a little bit of white and some diamond energy. And I'm just going to thread that through your crown chakra, down, 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 all the way to your earth star. I'm also, I see a problem. So I'm also going to reattach a lot of your guys. A lot of you guys aren't attached to your oversoul. So you don't have communication, you don't have connection, you don't have, like, you're not picking up the phone. So I'm just going to make sure when you guys are ready to pick up that phone and start that connection, that's just flowing and connected in the way it's going to be. And that's happening now. And we're also being assisted, which is so beautiful. So that's wonderful. I'm going to bring in the frequency of selenite. And selenite is just, I'm going to sweep this through your field just because that's going to pick up anything that you're ready to let go. Anything from your past lives that you're ready to let go. It's going to bring in some really nice new energy. And we're just going to sweep that energy through your field right now. 3, and 2, and 1. I'm also going to set that on a 24/7 program, meaning that that's going to continue to sweep through your field for a week, for 24 hours. And you might see an improvement in your sleep because of that. I'm going to release physical, emotional, and spiritual, specifically this word, limitations that you put on yourself, limitation that society's put on you, that your parents have put on you, that your spouses and your children and especially yourself. We're going to bring in the frequency of radical self-forgiveness. Wow, that's a big one. And we're going to kind of expand that through the heart chakra. We're going to expand that through the ascended heart chakra. And again, I'm going to expand that through the entire field. You guys forgive and do and do and do and do for so many people. So kind of turn that same intense self-love on yourself and just like forgive yourself everything. Forgive yourself anything. Stop. So many of you I'm seeing are just so hard on yourself. I wish I'd done this. I wish I hadn't done this. That's not the work. What is the work? The work is radical self-love and self-forgiveness. The work is nurturing yourself. Out of that, you're going to have boundaries. You're going to have balance in your life. You're going to have overflowing love and joy and peace and depth and grounding. You're going to have that to share with others. So radically begin to love yourselves. We're going to bring that in. I'm just going to do a general aura sweep, and that's going to be going on this whole time that I'm talking. There's a lot of aura distortion. Like I said, there's a lot of holes. Any of you that are willing to seal that field, we're going to go ahead and seal the field now. And again, anything that was in should already be booted out. So we're just going to beautifully seal your field with some nice green energy. And again, I'm going to put that on a 24/7 program. Also, I just want to mention that if you want to replay the last part of this, it's effective as many times as you want to play it. I don't know if Chris will let you pull it off, or maybe I could send Chris a separate aura clearing, and he can attach it if that would be okay too as well.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can actually put a separate link in the description for everybody.
Let me re-record a similar one, and then
Sure.
Okay, because this is kind of choppy. I'm trying to watch time. Am I okay on time?
You're fine. You're fine.
Okay, so you guys don't need to know what this means. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to reactivate the axonal head meridian, 6 and 7. This is off in a lot of you, and this is actually going to help open up, like Chris was talking about, like channeling and connection to your oversoul, connection to your guides. It might activate some of your psychic abilities. I'm actually going to bring in the energy of fire, because there's a lot of calcification and there's a lot of stagnant, and we just kind of need to bring up that energy in that upper part of the energy field. Tons and tons and tons of aura holes and tears. Again, some of you even brought this in from past lives. We're just going to begin, my guides and your guides are going to begin repairing those. Just nice to have a nice solid, field and coherent field. I'm going to reharmonize. So many of the meridians are out. Wow. Let me look really quick. Liver meridian. If you guys just randomly want to work on something, it's liver. A lot of us are hormonally imbalanced. A lot of our emotions are imbalanced. And, working on the liver, taking herbal formulas, doing liver cleanses, infrared sauna. I'm going to bring in all those frequencies to support your liver. But also be good if you guys could take some action for the liver. In our society, with all the chemicals and all the toxicity, the liver is just like fried in most of you. I'm going to bring in the frequency of black tourmaline, because what we see when we run aura scans is so many of you are coming up out of your body. And you can be, I am super, super airy fairy, but I, as you guys know, super woo woo, but you can still be grounded. You can still function. You can still, balance your bank account. So you don't have to fly out of your body. So often when we're seeking, spiritual enlightenment, we're trying to expand our abilities, we fly out of our body. So I'm just going to pull you guys all the way down. We're going to ask for the elemental spirits to assist. Actually, the trees are coming forth really nice. They don't usually come in, so that's really it's flattering. So they're coming in to just ground you guys really, really deeply. And of course, just ground you. I don't like to ground in the earth. I ground into yourselves through all time, all space. So we're going to do that, but the trees are doing it. They don't usually come in. It's really nice. Yeah, if you guys are friends with trees, you are like something. I want to be friends with you, because nature doesn't... they pick the best, purest hearts. We're also going to reactivate the external body meridian number 3 and just get that going. This is just energy fields and just clearing a lot of what the common collective of you guys is clogged. I'm going to remove old programming, old patterns, and old ancestral patterns that are ready to go. So some of you have already been doing the work. We're just going to move out of the rest of your field, let it go. We're going to release it. We're going to release the echo of that and release that into all time and space, all the way back to the all, to be reformed into something creative. Blocks. Wow. You guys have a lot of blocks in your timeline and field. So any timeline blocks that are in your timeline for the next 12 months, I'm just going to blow up and destroy and remove. So you guys have pure path to magnificent creation. Remember, whatever you believe is real. So what do you want to see in your life? And then put your belief and your intent behind it and chart your own timeline. Don't let people knock you off. Decide. It's a good time to do at the beginning of the year. Decide what you want in your life and then step on to create. I'm going to remove the blocks. So now you guys need to chart your path. You have to know what you want to get what you want. So take some time and sit and decide what you want in this coming year and in the rest of your life. What else do I see? Negative emotional patterns that are yours. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Again, a lot of the negative emotional patterns are different for all of you. I'm just going to bring in some positive things. I'm going to bring in creation, the frequency of creation. I'm going to bring in the frequency of peace. Oh, this is missing in a lot of your fields. I see the frequency of joy. Like maybe you've been more joyful, right now around this time of year, but a lot of you are lacking like expansive joy in your daily lives. I'm not just going to bring in joy, and we have assistance too. I'm bringing in expansive joy. So look for some really juicy things to happen in the couple days. I mean, even if you just hilariously laugh, that feels so good. You guys are missing. And again, we're opening up the ascended heart, and I'm feeling your guys' chest. I'm seeing the energy field. It's amazing. Really, really beautiful. Some of you are really responding to this. Stop me, because I'll go on and on and on. Chris, do I need to stop?
Yeah,
Am I
no,
good?
you're all good. This is wonderful.
Okay. I just
Any
wanna-
other closing words for you? I know that I want you to tell everybody where they can find your website, all your good stuff, and anything else you want to close on.
Yeah, again, what can you guys not know? You can know everything. What can you guys not do? You can do anything. What can you guys not recreate? You can choose again. Make this a year that you begin to craft with precision exactly the life you want, because you have it in you. And so secrettoeverything.com. How about YouTube? Type it in, type my name in. I don't give out my stuff because I'm old, you guys, so I've been around. So it'll come up. Just type me in.
Yeah, I'll have those links in the description as well. Dr. Kimberly, thank you so much. This was fantastic as usual. I love our conversations, and I can't wait to do it again soon.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure and privilege to take care of you guys.
Yes, thank you. And until next time, everyone, have an excellent evening, and we will talk again tomorrow. We will see y'all then.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up.
I've been pulling on these controversial political threads, like One Nation Under Blackmail by Whitney Webb. It's like ABC 123, get to know your local feds. Digging back through Ann Slinger's War, George Wyatt, Cindy Gottlieb, and the rest of the Sub-Project 42 mess. Figure out the ebb and flow of this twisted web. OSS in Burma to set up the Cold War, but y'all know the rest. Bill Pierce fighting commies in China, giving his boys opium, eventually expanding the trade to the West. What's the matter? The subject matter too hard so we can switch gears? I'd rather talk about the Bills game anyway, cause studying MK Ultra has taken fucking years. Exposing this octopus of global control, tentacles of domination through fears. It's like generational crime, families hold power and devour. No need for Destiny's Spear. Look what they did to Britney Spears. Project Monarch like Kathy O'Brien. They cost so many innocent people, so many innocent tears. Too many innocent tears.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up.
Most of my family is still sleeping. Rewards from the medicine they think they're reaping. Some took the red pill, some took the blue. But it's all about the power structure and the lies they are feeding to you. Most of you won't ever listen, so there's little chance I'm getting through. The ignorant man is bliss. Most of this I wish I never knew. I'm still seeking out these answers and trying to figure out what to do. I've already denied 3 times as the rooster crows cock-a-doodle-doo. Doubt seems to rip through me like metal and connective bone tissue. It took a near-death experience to change my angle of view. Went up to the heavens and had a life review.